Hello everyone. Thanks for checking out this live stream, this update on the member area here. Start out by saying thanks so much for being a member and supporting the channel. So playing around there a little bit with changes to Quasimodo. So we've been doing a little bit of a theme on this for the last few weeks on Quasimodo, which are also the changes for excuse me, Embraceable You. So really fun to improvise on, and so some updates. Some planning to do a little bit of a improv video on it, and I did a little bit of a video on kind of note choices, and just kind of warming up to that while it was a live stream, but trying to kind of think about different combinations of notes that you can do for each thing. So we have triads. So let's see, we're on the E flat major 7, the other way. It's different triads that you can use. Maybe G minor, or create a little tension with an F minor triad. Maybe C minor triad. So you can work on how distant and close you are to a given sound, a given chord. So you can think about these different note choices as being different numbers of notes. So if you have one note, one choice, get an idea of how each note sounds against a particular chord. If you have two notes, maybe think more about intervals, bigger intervals, smaller intervals. Okay, taking different combinations. So back to the triad, that would be a three note choice. So there I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but those are three notes anyway, thinking about triad. So four notes, you might think about arpeggios or melodic structures. So those are some things I plan to kind of talk about, as just these different levels of numbers of notes that you might choose from. So I talked a lot about, in that talk, about melodic structures. So those are kind of four note groupings, but they don't necessarily fall into like arpeggios necessarily. They're a little bit more like triads with an additional note. So like E flat major with the F and a. So it's kind of like a E flat add 9. So for like minor type triads, you might add the 11 to that, and then work on different inversions of them. So those are 4 notes, and 5 notes would fall into pentatonics. Major pentatonics, but they're or minor pentatonics, a lot of different combinations. So, and then 6 notes, you get into what are called hexatonic scales, which I did a bit of a talk on the member area of lessons and all that, lessons and talks, I think it's called. So we get like combinations of different triads, let's say. So like typically, so like what I was doing earlier, I had E flat, okay, and then I was playing an A flat major triad and a B flat major triad, maybe combining the two a little bit. Okay. So that kind of appears to be a melodic structure, but it all depends on your perspective. So we're borrowing one from B flat major triad, and then playing more of the A flat, and then borrowing from the A flat major triad, and then playing the rest of the B flat. So that's more of the perspective on that. Hexatonic scales get into some pretty cool kind of scales too. So you get like there we go, that's better. So kind of symmetrical scales, but that's still 2 augmented triads kind of sitting next to one another. So 6-note scales, and then of course 7-note scales. Those are like the common do, re, mi, sort of do, re, mi, or modes. And also we have those harmonic major, harmonic minor, and maybe melodic minor type scales. So generally, those are falling into one of those 4 categories. And then 8-note scales are really fun to explore as well. So we have octatonic type scales, and so on. So you kind of whole step, half step. But then also bebop type scales. Bebop scales and 8-note scales are really great because the math works out. Because oftentimes we're thinking in groups of 4, so you might have 4 beats, and you might have 8th notes, so that's 8 notes. So so you can work at getting to a particular note. Now 9-note scales, I hadn't really thought a lot about that, but I'll have to look into that. But 10-note scales are kind of cool too, because it's similar to the 8-note scales, like bebop scales, but a little more colored in, a little more chromatic. The math kind of works out again, because you have an even number. So sort of interesting, that you have odd number scales, like, or odd numbered groups of notes like triads, pentatonics, and heptatonic scales, which are like 7-note scales, as really like kind of the foundation of what we generally learn in music. But in time, if you include all those notes, the the math doesn't quite work out, but we still need to use them, still need to know them, of course. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to conclude our updates today. Let me think of anything else I could think about. I've got a couple ideas for things. Well, for one thing, summer is a little bit low on the production list because of summer breaks, but from schools. But get back into kind of full production in September. Should be more videos coming out. But one of my students here, let me borrow this. I don't know if I talked about this yet. I think I did. But one of my students is not even tuned up. But let me borrow this banjo. It's cool. So I've been working on some rolls. I still have to work on the accenting and all that, but just trying to get familiar too with the shape, and then trying to get familiar with hearing that high note on the lower side of the guitar, the ceiling side of the instrument, the banjo, which I've been a little bit familiar with because of ukulele, tuned to high G, because it used to have that high note. So I'm really wanting to put some videos out on this instrument because I have a couple pieces that I can play. Just would need to warm up a little bit. And so I want to do some videos. So I've got Somewhere Over the Rainbow and stuff like that, like chord melody things on this instrument I like to do. But one thing that I think would be kind of cool to do on banjo is to, of course, learn the traditional tuning and everything, but also to just do some more creative, like just recording and do like a solo on banjo, like single line solo, maybe tune that first string over to E, but I would have to acquire like a pretty good banjo at that point. So I'm using this until I can kind of learn it, and I may invest in a banjo for teaching and recording purposes. So see how that goes, but probably not too much in the near future, but maybe in the fall or getting close to fall. So I think it'd be really cool to have some recordings where I just do different instruments, so it's not like a really long solo with just one kind of sound. So all right, so some thoughts there, and thanks so much for being a member and supporting the channel. It really helps out a lot, and let me know if you need any additional help on anything, and I will see you all in the next one.